Cold turkey might be great on sandwiches, but there's a better way to break your bad habits. I'm talking about my sponsor, Fume, and they look at the problem in a different way. Instead of electronics, Fume is completely natural. Instead of vapor, Fume uses flavored air. And instead of harmful chemicals, Fume uses all natural flavors. Instead of bad, Fume is good. It's a habit that you can feel free to enjoy, and it makes replacing your bad habit easy. It fills the void in a natural, guilt-free way. Your Fume comes with an adjustable airflow dial, and it's designed with movable parts and magnets for fidgeting. It gives your fingers lots to do, which is great for de-stressing. My favorite flavor is crisp mint. Fume is flavorful, and it feels fresh. Fume has served over 150,000 customers and has thousands of success stories. There's no reason that can't be you. Join Fume in accelerating humanity's breakup from destructive habits by picking up the Journey Pack today. Head to tryfume.com/Chael or scan the QR code. Just make sure you use the code Chael to get 10% off. Oh, how's this for a twist? Toria is not being called out. Toria is doing the calling out. He is calling out Max for Max's title. I gotta tell you, as simple as that might sound to you, and if you guys read this article, you might have enjoyed it, had a little coffee, moved right on with your day. You shouldn't. You should go back. This is poetry. Not only is this poetry, Toporia's doing such a good job, right? And he's an interesting guy. I mean, he got the whole country of Spain behind him. Those are his people. Those are the people that know him. You get a lot of people that know a guy, they won't sign off on him. They don't get behind him. I mean, it's one of these things. These guys know him, and they're coming out in droves. They like him. I mean, I'm just sharing that with you. Like, I haven't got to meet Toria, but as I stood back and look at him, I bet you I'd like him. Now, Toria comes out and he says, and the reason I call it poetry is not only because it's beautiful, I call it poetry because it requires interpretation. And you got to break that down line by line, frame by frame, which you normally think of as a paragraph, think of as a stanza, because it's got its own meaning. Now, I'm sure Toria did not mean this to be eloquent the way I'm taking it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. So Toporia's flipped the script. Now, you must understand why. Athletes have a position where they do their best. Some thrive under pressure. For example, some do the best when they have low expectations. A lot of times a guy will win more fights as an underdog than he does the favorite. And you can kind of look at that and then start to ask him questions and break it down, what it does to his approach and his mentality. Very common. And an athlete, or at least a good one, will always put themselves in a position that gives them the biggest advantage. So if you see a scenario and that doesn't fit your narrative of being the favorite or being the dog, I'm choosing favorite and dog, but it could be a number of other things. If you find a scenario, you change it within your bubble. If you're the big favorite and you don't like to be the favorite, you change. The only reason they're giving me this guy is they think that's the guy that can beat me. They want me out of here. They're trying to get rid of me. And you victimize yourself, which can create an anger, which can give a motivation, which can lead to better training if you have that type of mindset. Now, Toria just let us know what kind of mindset he has. And he wouldn't know any better, would he? Like, if Toria could put out his best performances as a favorite, as defending a champion where somebody's coming to take what he has, he wouldn't know. He wouldn't know if he does his best work in that situation. He's never been in that situation. And there's something about the unknown that can be scary, so Toria isn't even going to take that risk. He's going to stay on course with what got him to the championship in the first place, which is you have something and I want it. You're the big man, I'm the new kid in school, and I'm taking over this playground. And why should he change, by the way? Is he 15-0, guys? If I'm wrong, he's 14-0. It's a perfect record. He is the champion of the world. And you know when a guy's really good? When a guy is really good, and he's main eventing. That's a different category. We have had a number of champions, by the way, that don't ever main event. Not a good sign. But if you're a lighter guy, 45-pound weight class, and all of a sudden you can fill up an arena, all of a sudden you got guys calling you out, you're calling them out, you got a beautiful record, they've done some really good things themselves. I mean, I'm just saying, like, it's a really special thing. And Topuria is now telling Max, I'll fight you, but I will only fight you if you put up the belt. And that's the part that is pulling back and letting us have a real glimpse into the way Topuria thinks. And once we learn that, and then we juxtapose it with a perfect record and a world championship, we see that he is thinking correctly. Now, Topuria is in no position to be telling Max what he must do. I mean, right, when Max is the number one contender, when Max is the rankings, the former champion, he's the greatest that weight class has ever seen. Like, Topuria is not in a position to come as though I'll do you a favor. I'll sidestep and push all these rightful guys out of the way, and I'll deal with you, but you got to bring me a little something. I want to put that belt up. Like, he's not in that spot, which is what makes it beautiful. It makes it almost a troll. And I'll tell you what, if you can troll Max Holloway, if you're a bad enough dude, if you are confident enough in your skill set that you can go troll Max Holloway, I'm in, man. That is fascinating that Topuria told him his own. Guess what? Max should absolutely put up the belt. I mean, that changes things very significantly. And you know what else I like about it? I don't know that the promotion, the UFC, I don't know that Dana understands how that belt is viewed amongst the boys. I don't know. Dana himself said when he put the idea out of doing the belt that he was expecting his team in the Worm to laugh at him, to tell him what a terrible idea it was. And, I mean, it turned into such a good idea. The Rock came out, the president came out in Madison Square Garden, sold out. That's what a good idea it was. And the BMF belt is different because, first off, it's coveted, much like an Olympic gold medal. There's other awards you can get that equal the same competitive, like the World Championship. Okay, the Olympics. Look at a globe. Look at Earth. Okay, if you win the Olympics, you're the best on Earth. But if you win the world, it's the same thing. And it's highly coveted. But why is the Olympics more coveted? Well, it's just rarer. Real simple. I'm not giving you a brilliant concept here. But it's the same thing with the BMF. And history does matter. Look, there was world champions in the UFC. It didn't mean anything to them. It didn't mean anything to their families. You know, it was cool. They'd rather have it or not, but it didn't mean anything. And the reason for that is there was 18 guys under contract throughout the entire company. You know, it was a very different title. You put world on it, but there was nobody outside of North America that had ever competed. Like, it was just a different time. And those guys didn't understand that, no, the history books aren't going to talk about any of that. The history books will never say there was 18 guys under contract. History books won't even talk about the fact that there's almost 800 guys under contract now. That's not how the story's written. Who is the champion? The end. And it's reflected upon very different. And there hasn't been a title to start out that has had the momentum of the BMF, which comes back to The Rock, the president, and Madison Square Garden. A Diaz, a Masvidal gets passed on to a Gaethje, a Max, a 300. I'm just sharing with you, like, the lineage and the history of this is going to be huge. When I talk about it's a title amongst the boys, for the boys, every fighter wants to be viewed by other fighters as somebody that never quit, as somebody that had courage, as somebody that was brave. The record is a little bit more a fan phenomenon. The wins and the losses is a little bit more for the pundits. The boys, when they walk in the locker room, do not want the other boys looking at them and go, my God, I just saw you on the monitor and you quit. Now, every fighter does, but they will do their best to not do it in competition. Do it in practice. Do it out on the hill. Do it in your garage when your coach is pushing you too hard. Don't do it in competition. And moreover, if you do, hide it. And If you're a BMF or you're considered or you go into that category, it does not have to do with records and accomplishment. It has to do with an attitude. It's a very special thing, and that belt represents the way every fighter that gets into this wants to be viewed and thought of by his fellow fighters. That belt represents it. And it's a very special thing. And I'm not certain that the UFC is aware of that. I feel that the data's there, right? I can go back to the sold-out Garden, go back to the most powerful man in all of Hollywood, or at least the most famous, being in the ring and being part of it, the leader of the free world being part of it. Or 300, the people's main event, the one everyone was looking forward to, and the one that came out smelling like roses, like, it's special. And if Topuria is going to do the work, he should. He should do everything he can, right? I mean, a champion doesn't always get something. Sometimes he just has to keep something. When you make it to the very top, you can't always be greedy. Sometimes you just got to hold on to it. I understand that. But for Topuria to do everything that he can to also get that, to also have that credit. I mean, you think Sean O'Malley wants a piece of Topuria now. You got no idea what O'Malley's going to do if it's a 45-pound title and a BMF while he has the 35-pound title. Like, I mean, I'm just sharing for you. You have no idea the stakes amongst the boys in the back. I know the audience likes it. But the BMF title is a peer-driven title.